Hey guys, Mike for Sim Racing 604, and this is my Moza Racing CM2 Racing Dash. This is a 5-inch dash designed to mount directly on top of your wheelbase and provide you with real-time telemetry and race information. This is the successor to Moza's CM Dash, and it does carry a number of improvements, including a touchscreen display, which is pretty cool, plus some new telemetry lights and USB connectivity. So lots of exciting stuff packed into the CM2 Dash. Let's get into my reviews. All right, so as mentioned, this is my CM2 Racing Dash from Moza Racing. Moza Racing was kind enough to send me this unit free of charge for review. No money changed hands, I don't offer affiliate links, and of course, words and opinions are my own. So this CM2 Dash, as also mentioned in the intro, is the successor to the CM2 Dash. Moza did listen to their users about what they wanted. There was one key thing that they didn't get to, but there's a number of features they did. So I'll get my wheelbase set up shortly and show you, but this is a touchscreen display, so you can flip through different dashes and even flip through different pages of certain dashes, which I think is pretty cool. It's a 5-inch display. If I flip it around here, it's going to mount directly on top of your wheelbase with these screw holes. Hopefully you can see that. And there's 2 sets of them, so depending on which wheelbase you have from Moza, you should be able to use those without issue. RJ11 connection, which can plug directly into the back of your Moza wheelbase if you are in that ecosystem. But for the first time, they have offered a USB-C port on the side here and included a USB cable. So you can actually go direct to your computer and just use the Moza Pithouse software and get up and running. So in addition to the touchscreen display, one of the key features that they have added is the compatibility with their dashboard design software. So I talked about this when I did the Vision GS wheel review, but you can actually create custom dashes in the Pithouse software, which is pretty cool, and then upload them to your unit. So if you're somebody that likes to see the speed in gigantic numbers here, or the gear, or whatever, tire temperature, anything you want, tachometer, circular, whatever you want, pedal information, it can all be set up in the custom Pithouse software and uploaded to your unit, and you can get things set up how you like. Now, a question that a number of you would have, I'm sure, is this compatible with SimHub? To my knowledge, at the moment, it is not. However, I think having this USB-C port on the side does certainly open the door to that compatibility. We see USB-based units in the sim racing world that are now starting to become compatible with SimHub. To my knowledge, it was commonly HDMI only. It would have to be a display, and then you throw to that display. But I think a lot of the dashes that are coming out now with USB compatibility can also be used with SimHub. So I think the door is open for this to be used at some point with SimHub. And I'm kind of 2 minds. Of course I want SimHub. Of course I would love to have the lovely dashboard on here or other great ones. But the trade-off, especially if you're a hardware manufacturer, is you're dependent on somebody else's software. So let's say, and I don't think this will be the case, of course, but let's say SimHub goes under or is no longer compatible with Windows, what have you. I wouldn't want to be Moza in that case and have a bunch of users saying, hey, I bought your dash, now I can't use it. So I understand why they want to do their own thing in terms of dashes. However, it would be nice if they did work in the background to allow both. Maybe through this USB connectivity, you could start to use this with SimHub and it would really open up the doors. But for right now, to my knowledge, SimHub is not immediately compatible with this CM2 Dash. It does carry a price of $199. As of the time you're seeing this video, it will already be on the market. What else can I talk about? 720p display, customizable dashboards I talked about, tachometer lights across the top here. Those are customizable in the Pithouse software. So depending on which car you drive, you can set different colors. You can set it to red line at 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 RPM, whatever you want. And then flash red, flash blue when it's time to shift, whatever you want. But additionally, it also has telemetry lights across the side. And again, once I get my wheelbase over here, I'll be able to show you that. And that's going to tell you, green flag, yellow flag, traction control is engaged, ABS is engaged, wheel slip. You can do a number of things with those telemetry lights, which I think is really cool and a nice little addition here. Rear is aluminum, and you can see these screws here, these hand screws here. You can back those off and adjust the height a little bit. So depending on how this lines up with your wheel, that would be somewhere in here. If your wheel is blocking it, you have some height adjustment to get yourself set up. Quad-core processor, I don't think I touched on that. So the quad-core processor, important because if there's information coming to the dash, you don't want there to be processing lag and end up with like a half-second delay or anything like that. So quad-core 1.3 gigahertz processor keeps things pretty smooth. All right, I'm going to get my wheelbase over here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the touchscreen display functionality. Okay, so as you can see, I got my R16 up here on the table, not connected to anything, but just the same. You can see the dash there. So this is one of the more complicated dashes, and I apologize, I keep ducking in and out of my microphone's range, but yeah, this is one of the more complicated dashes, but if we scroll to something simple like this, whoops, as you can see, we can go to different pages here. So you can scroll through and find something that works for you. So this, for example, whoops, keep getting messed up here. But yeah, this is basic, your speed, your gear. But then if I flip over, it's got a tachometer bar across the top. It's going to show a bit of lap information across the bottom. So again, different information depending on what you prefer. So these are some of the ones that come with the display. Not overly impressive, if I'm honest. I thought, this second generation of CM dashes would have some more display pages, more impressive display pages, I should say. But it doesn't appear that's the case. A lot of the same carry over from the first generation. But we do have the ability to customize now and build our own. So that is pretty cool. You can see the LEDs across the top there flashing. When we get in game, you'll see how functional they are. But also now new across the side, you can see the LEDs for telemetry. So cool display, looks great. We're going to get this on and we'll test drive in just a second. But first, I do want to go into the Moza Pithouse software, show you some of the customization options, not only of the dash, but also the LEDs. And then we'll come back and talk about my good, neutral, and bad of the CM2 Racing Dash. Okay, so I've got my wheelbase mounted again. I got my CM2 Racing Dash set up here, and I am in the Pithouse software. And as you can see, first thing we see is the dashboard settings. So all of the screens we can flip through, and as you can see in Pithouse, it changes when I flip through the various screens. And I can also just simply click the play button, and it's going to call that up on my CM2 dash. Okay, and we also have the ability to flip through them. And that would be a tachometer bar across the top. As you can see across here, these are all the dashes that I have in Moza's Pithouse, and I can just simply click the upload dash button, and it's now going to be a part of my dash display world. So when I come down through all of these, should eventually, whoops, give it a second, should eventually get to, there we go. So I have my FSR2 Formula dash there, and I've got a Sim Racing 604 logo. I've got the gear indicator there. I'm just realizing that I never finished this, so let's remove this from my dash. Okay, and I do have these legacy ones from my Vision GS. I'm going to throw one of those up there. Actually, throw two of those up there. Why not? So if I click and choose GT, Sim Racing 604 GT, I can make it active. Sorry, it just takes a second to process here. Resources are syncing 50%. My viewership is probably syncing as well. Waiting for that to load. Okay, there we go. So I click play, and then I have a nice display here. Whoops. It's not going to take up the whole screen. Yeah, it's very small. So I can do some customization in Pithouse to make that larger. But for right now, I'll probably go with something like this. Yeah, so that's what I have. Let's go quickly add, I'm going to edit this guy because I like the simple style, but I'm also going to add, and I know some of it's going to be off screen, I do apologize. Let's see here, I'll try and walk you guys through it as simply as possible. Sorry, just making sure I was recording there. Okay, so we have screen 1 and screen 0. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so screen 0 is the one we haven't developed yet. So what I'm going to put up there is a map. So if I click map and then drag and drop that bad boy, I'm going to get a nice big map. And then if I just go to, I know you can't see it, so if I just go to File and Save, I will now have a custom dash. Let's go ahead and click out of that. And then I'm going to remove this. Don't have to do this as far as I'm aware, but if I go ahead and upload that again, give it time to process, we should have dash. And there we go. We have that third screen. It doesn't have a map to show right now, but it will be there. Oh, there we go. It shows Monza by default. Okay, cool. So we got this set up how we like, and again, you can customize anything you want. For now, I'm just going to leave this as is. We're going to jump into a game, and we're going to check out how this. Oh, forgot to talk about LEDs. Come on, Mike, you're slipping. All right, so we can set our LED brightness here. It's 12 by default. I like to have them nice and bright. I like to have those screaming in my face when I'm driving. We also have these set up. This is currently set up for the 992 Porsche GT3. So when it redlines in the game, it's going to redline here, which is cool. The colors won't match because it's set up for the Racing Studio Assetto Corsa version of that car, which is linear across, which is what I have set up here on your screen right now. But the one in ACC, which I'm going to drive, comes from the outside in. But we can build that if we want. I just don't have it yet. And then telemetry LEDs. As you can see right now, the LEDs are all set to off, but I want a pit indicator. What else do I want? Maybe DRS is useless. Let's go ahead and throw a traction control on there. That way I'll be able to see when the traction control system is engaged coming out of a corner. Maybe I'm losing time. So we'll go with that for now. So I'm going to jump into a game, or jump into ACC, I should say, and test out the CM2 dash. All right, so we're sat here in the pits in ACC. As you can see, I've got my telemetry LEDs telling me I'm in the pits. Just a gentle blink. And when I start to roll, once I cross that yellow line up ahead, it should click off. Oh, earlier than I thought. But anyway, it clicks off, tells me that I'm no longer in the pits. Now, as you recall, with these telemetry LEDs, I also set it for traction control. So if I stomp the gas, traction control doing a little bit of work. If I go over a curb while under power, you can see traction control is doing its thing. I'll probably do it here on this curve as well. There you go. Traction control keeping me in line. So in case you are losing time to your opponents, maybe it's the traction control. A good way to measure that. See the telemetry there, or the RPM LEDs rather, flashing as I'm redlining fifth gear. Nice, bright, easy to read display. Of course, the characters are gigantic at this point. Can we flip through there? Yep. And then we have a tachometer bar as well. We've got a bit of lap time information. We haven't completed a lap yet, so we won't be able to fully see this thing do its in its proper use. But as soon as we cross that start-finish line, we should have that reference lap, and then maybe, oh no, never mind, it's delta, so we'll need to do this lap plus another lap before that delta starts to work. So you can see everything else works. And does my map work? Yes, it does. There we see the beautiful Watkins Glen map. Problem is I can't tell what gear I'm in. So if I were really doing this for real, I would put a gear indicator there. Of course, I can just look pretty much 1 inch up from my display and see my gear at the center of my in-game Porsche dash display. But you could set up your FOV depending on how your overall rig is set up. If your wheel was positioned higher than mine is, I know you can't see where my eyes are, but basically I'm looking and my dash display
cuts off the bottom like 10% of my in-game dash. So depending on how your display is set up, you may have more use for, what was I going to say? You might not have use, you will have use, depending on your setup, for a gear indicator. Boy, that sentence did not go well. All right. So we're racing here. I do want to get at least one fast lap in or one proper lap in just so I can confirm that my delta and my estimated time on this display does in fact work. I think it does. If we flip through, look at some other displays here. Do I have... Yep, there we go. So I've got tire temp there. It seems to be all working. Let's see, speed, brake balance percentage, etc., etc. All seems to be working. We have an active lap time, current lap time, call it what you will. Seems to be working. It does have a predicted and a difference there. So again, it's not going to work until we actually cross the start-finish line and it records this lap as a valid lap. But then everything should fall well into place. So overall, beautiful, easy to read. Is it providing more than what you could get with a heads-up display in game, or you know, if you have a wheel with a display in it, is this providing anything over and above? No, but it's a nice display, gives you everything you need, keeps all the information there at hand. So yeah, it looks good. I like how it's performing. Those LEDs are so nice and bright. When that starts flashing, there's no question that it's time to shift. It does a really nice job of getting your attention. I do recommend, if you're going to buy this dash, that you do set that LED. I guess it's going to depend on the lighting in your room perhaps, but I recommend a nice bright LED to get that attention. And crossing the start-finish line, do we have... no, I don't have a predicted lap time. Did I avoid my previous lap? Well, now we gotta go one more and find out, don't we? Come along for the ride, dear viewer. And then after this, we'll get back to the table. I'm going to share my thoughts on the dash, but for now, I just want to get around here as quick as possible. But yeah, those LEDs and the ability to customize it, very, very cool. It's a nice display. It really is. Solid, easy to read, clean, good aesthetics, easy to mount. A lot going on here. I really like it. Not in love with the displays, the different dash screens that come with the CM2 Racing Dash by default. But in terms of its functionality for this section of the video, how it feels to drive with this display, performing extremely well. Easy to read. I'm going to go back. We're actually more interested in this one. There we go. Just take a second to calibrate itself and start receiving information. But pretty cool to be able to flip through like that. So the custom dashes, you can see whatever you like. Did I just spoil my lap? Come on, Mike, pay attention. So let's see, cross the start-finish line here momentarily. Did I do a valid lap? Stewards? There we go, yes, we did a valid lap, but now I have delta and an estimated lap time. So, very cool. So that's the CM2 Racing Dash in-game, performing very, very well. I like the telemetry LEDs. Let's get back to the table. I'll share with you what I like, what I don't like, and what I'm just kind of okay with.
All right, so time to draw things to a close here. And I'm going to talk about the good, neutral, and bad. Things I like, things I'm just kind of okay with, and things I don't like about the Moza Racing CM2 Dash. And we'll start, as always, with the good things I like about the display. First and foremost, the touchscreen functionality. It's pretty cool. For $199, this is not the cheapest way to go. As I mentioned earlier in the video, you can just take an old phone or take your current phone, get a cheap clip off Etsy, and get the same effect. But the touchscreen display, the ability to flip through different dashes in real time. Maybe you're used to seeing your speed and gear all the time and want to track lap times, but then you're getting ready for a pit stop and want to know where your opponent is, where you're going to come out relative to the opponent behind you in the race. You can flip over to a map display and see where position 2 or position 10 is, and then flip back after. So cool stuff like that is possible thanks to the touchscreen display. Also, the brightness and resolution of this 5-inch display, it is very good. It is a crisp image. Not that you're going to be running anything too fancy. It's easy to read the numbers. It's easy to read everything on the display. 720p for a 5-inch display, more than adequate, and does a good job, easy to read. And of course, we talk about the LEDs, not just the quantity of them, but also the brightness and the customization options. Very cool. You can get that set up how you like. I made custom LED indicators for the Porsche. I can tell you that in the real thing, you have an indicator at, let's say, 6,600, then 6,800, then 7,200, whatever it is, and you can match that here. So you get a big bright light telling you when to shift or when you're approaching the time to shift. So very nicely done there. And also the customizable dashes, very cool to see. It's a bit of work, bit of a learning curve, but honestly, you can get the fundamentals down in about 20 minutes. And from there, you can scale it up however you like. It's virtually limitless, especially if you know how to write code. But even if you don't, you can do a lot with the custom dashes, and is a nice feature to just have a sort of drag and drop nature to building sim racing dashes. And also in the good category, we talk about the clean look. I think it's nice. It doesn't have a lot of ugly cords anywhere. You have the ability to plug USB into the side. We got this little RJ11 behind, but other than that, it's a very clean look, very compact. I mean, that's one thing. Putting a phone or a tablet on top of your dash display, on top of your wheelbase, can't offer is a clean look. But I think Moza does a good job here, keeping things compact and neat, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. And finally, in the good category, the connection options, adding USB. Good job, Moza. And hopefully we'll see that grow in the future to include compatibility to SimHub. Don't know. But if you don't use USB, of course, you can go directly into your wheelbase or even into the Moza Hub and connect to the Pithouse software that way. In the neutral category, the size, 5 inches, not going to be enough of a display for everyone. I have a Porsche display that's 10 inches, just the big, humongous thing that's even easier to read. 5 inches, probably more than adequate, but at the same time, you can see how it sits. Like, this is at the highest point. You can see how it sits relative to a wheel. So in some cases, it might get cut off. So it'd be nice to have something a little bit bigger, perhaps. But I think, 5-inch display, getting down to roughly the size of a smartphone is kind of where they wanted to land with this product, and they did it. But I could see for some people it's not going to be adequate. So putting size of this display in the neutral category, and also we talk about price, it's certainly not a bad price. $200 for something with a touchscreen display and 720p, not a bad price. At the same time, it's always going to be competing with that smartphone. It's always going to be competing with things you can buy off AliExpress. Moza, when they first started growing, I guess about 4 years ago, when people were starting to take notice of their brand, it was just this outstanding value. Nobody could believe what they were delivering for the price. I think the trend with Moza has been more toward nicer products, ever evolving quality, but the price has kind of come up with it. It's no longer the no-brainer, wow, how are they doing it for so cheap? So $200 for this dash display, not a bad price. As I say, I'm not going to put it in the bad category, but just the same, it's not a blow-your-mind price, so only in the neutral for me. And lastly, in the bad category, you probably knew I was going here. SimHub integration, it would have been nice if they had come to market with this product and said, look, we finally cracked the code. We worked with the right people. We got the SimHub integration. It's not the case at present. We may see it in future. But moreover, when we talk about, SimHub integration, the reason we want SimHub is not because SimHub is necessarily so much better than what Pithouse could ever offer. It's the variety of dashes on offer. And what Moza packs into this is nowhere near the level of what you can find with a quick Google search for SimHub. So it would have been nice if they said, okay, well, they don't have to say this, but if they came to market with no SimHub integration, and then they said, look, we've worked with some very talented software engineers and given you these 20, 30, 40 dashes at launch. You can drag and drop them into your dash, use them how you feel. This one kind of emulates Porsche. This one kind of emulates Ferrari, etc., etc. Keep them generic, but work with some people who can build them. You have the customization software. Would have been nice if they had come to market with a bit more variety and certainly improved dashes. So it's kind of leaning on the user to either tolerate what Moza gave you or to build your own. So, okay, thought that might have gone to sleep. But yeah, that's kind of my final thoughts on the CM2 dash display. Very nice unit. I really enjoy running it. I like the trend. I like where Moza is going with the touchscreen displays and the ability to customize dashes. And they've done a really, really nice job with this unit overall. I like it. A few shortcomings, but overall nice dash display. Fingers crossed for future. If this is able to become compatible with SimHub, boy, would that be a bonus. And this would be instant 10 out of 10. But for right now, very, very good. And let's hope for improvements in the future. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Moza Racing for sending me the unit for review. And we will see you next time.